Hi guys, Josh here, and in this video we'll be going over all of the different food buffs in Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. Food is so important in this game as it gives you very helpful buffs, but many of them are not very clear on how they work exactly. It can be hard to know which ones are worth it, which ones are not, so I did some testing to figure most of it out. But before we can dive into all of these buffs, let's quickly go over some basic mechanics. First, the way you learn a recipe for something is by eating it, and if you see this blue check mark while looking at a food, it means you already know its recipe. Some dishes you will get through the mail, others you will buy from the cafe or the shops at the bazaar, and receive by participating or winning certain festivals. As far as I know, there's no recipe that you can completely miss out on, so don't worry too much, but if you sell or give a food that you got as a reward for a festival, you may have to wait a whole year to get your hands on it again, so whenever you find some new food, make sure to eat it. When you're ready to cook, you should know that the star quality of a dish determines how much stamina it recovers, as well as the duration of the buff it gives you. For example, a 0.5 stars boiled egg will give you max stamina up for 6 minutes, while a 5 stars boiled egg will give you the same buff for 12 minutes. That being said, it does not increase the strength of the buff, so no matter its quality, a boiled egg will always give max stamina up level 1. You also cannot stack multiple food buffs, so every time that you eat something, it overwrites whatever buff you currently have. Lastly, some meals do not offer any buffs. These are mostly in the main dishes category, and they not only tend to replenish more stamina, they also let you keep whatever buff you have. Pasta and egg over rice are two very easy options for pure stamina, but now let's get into what all of the different buffs mean. We'll start with a very fun one, Run Speed Up. This is pretty self-explanatory, it increases your running speed, but is it worth it? You will find the Run Speed Up dishes mostly in the soups section, and level 1 recipes like the egg drop soup and herb soup are some of the easiest to make. The other ones can be a bit demanding, like the corn soup, which is level 4, but it requires milk and butter, which is fine, but also corn and onion, which are not available year-round. To measure the efficacy of these buffs, I decided to run from Lloyd's house all the way to Gabriel's house, using the in-game clock as a timer to see how long it takes. Without any food, this is a 23-minute run. After eating the egg drop soup, I have my level 1 buff, and I make it in 21 minutes, which we can round up to a 10% speed increase. Before recommending the soup to everybody though, when playing this game, I don't know about you, but I have been jumping all the time, thinking it was faster, so let's verify, is it faster? So I tried, and using double jumps, no buff, the same course took me 19 minutes. The run speed up buff does not affect the jump speed, so in conclusion, if you're gonna jump, it is faster and cheaper to do that than to use the level 1 run speed up. Now what about the level 4 corn soup? First, I love how silly running like this looks, and I make it to Gabriel's house in only 14 minutes, which is approximately a 40% increase in running speed. I'm aware this is not the most precise or scientific experiment, but from my findings throughout the work I did for this video, as a general rule, you can expect a level 4 buff to be pretty much 4 times as strong as the level 1. So in this case, a level 1 soup is a 10% speed increase, level 2 is 20%, 3 is 30%, 4 is 40%. So the recipes do get complex as you go higher in level, but they're also a lot more powerful, so in a lot of cases, it will be worth to eat the higher level dishes. Back to our corn soup, those that you buy from Madeline at the bazaar are 0.5 stars, so they only last for 4 minutes. You can also only buy them 3 times a week, so it will be very limited. And if you want to make them yourself year-round, it will require planning, but considering how much there is to do every day in Zephyr Town, it is certainly a nice buff to have. When you're not running around, you're probably farming, foraging, or doing any of these other activities that consume stamina, and you might be wondering if the max stamina up effect is worth it. Most of these dishes you will find in the sides category, and they are pretty easy to make. You have boiled egg at level 1, and a lot of options at level 2 and 3 that you will be able to make with simple ingredients. To measure the efficacy of this buff, I decided to go fishing. Every time that a fish got hooked on my line, I started the minigame and cancelled it right away, consuming a small amount of stamina. So I did that over and over again, counting how many fish bites it took for me to pass out. I first went without any food, and I got a fish to bite 32 times before passing out. Keep in mind, I've had maybe 3 or 4 power berries out of 10 in this current save file, so I have a bit more than the default maximum stamina. I then did the same thing but with a max stamina up buff, and I was able to get 6 extra hits at level 1, 11 extra hits at level 2, and 15 at level 3. That is on average 5 extra fish bites per level, and that increase is not a percentage of your stamina but a set amount. So for me, a level 1 dish meant around 20% in extra stamina, and a level 3 dish going from 32 to 48 fish bites, that was 50% extra stamina. So the lower your base stamina is, the more the effect will be noticeable. You have another option when it comes to stamina, and that is Stamina Saver, which makes all of your actions consume less stamina. You will find most of these dishes within the salad category, such as the herb salad that you can make from the very beginning using wild herbs. For this one, I did the same fishing test, and remember, without any buff, I got a fish to bite 32 times before passing out. With Stamina Saver level 1, I made it to 35 fish bites, which is an improvement of approximately 10%. So I could take a level 2 dish for 20%, 3 for 30%, but as you saw, I got a lot more out of the max stamina up. Basically, if you have high maximum stamina already, Stamina Saver will be the better option as it reduces your stamina consumption by a certain percentage, but if you don't have that high of a maximum stamina, then Max Stamina Up is the one you should go for because it is a set number. Something else to consider is that Max Stamina Up lasts longer. In fact, one 5-star boiled egg gives you 12 minutes of Max Stamina Up, while a 5-star herb salad only gives you 8 minutes of Stamina Saver. On top of that, a lot of the recipes for Max Stamina Up are way easier to make, so for most players, that is the buff I would recommend. Before we're done with all of this fishing, let's talk about the rod durability buff. You will find these in soups for the most part, and onion soup is an easy level 3. Until then, you can make fish cakes or sashimi, side dishes that conveniently only require fish, but they are level 1, so they won't make a noticeable difference. This buff does what it says. It makes it so your fishing bar doesn't decrease as fast. For most fish, it is not something you need, but if you are trying to catch a garden fish, or you're planning to fish for an extended period of time, during which you might be lucky and stumble upon something rare like a treasure chest that can be difficult to catch, in that case, a boost in rod durability could make all the difference. So this is a very situational buff, and if you have to use it, I would suggest going with at least a level 3 so that you can actually feel the effect. That is enough fishing for today. Next is watering rare crop % sign, which should increase our probability of growing rare variants of crops. Most of these recipes are found under the salad category. Some easy options include the onion salad for level 1 or mashed potatoes for level 2. I never thought of mashed potatoes as a salad, but that's what I went with for this experiment. If it ends up going well, I'd like to be able to make even more mashed potatoes, so I filled up my 3 fields entirely with potato seeds. I did a first run where I simply watered all of them once a day with no buff, a second run where I did the same thing, but using the buff only on the very last day, and a third run where I used the buff every day. Here are the results. So at the end of my first run, I harvested 628 regular potatoes and 20 star potatoes. On the second run, I got 620 regular potatoes and 28 star potatoes, so a very small improvement that would be barely noticeable on a smaller scale. On the last run, the one where I used the buff every day, I harvested 516 regular potatoes and 132 star potatoes. So the effect here is cumulative, and if you use this buff every day, it will make a major difference. Considering how simple these recipes are and the big impact that they have, from now on I will be using them whenever possible. Rare crops are more valuable than their regular counterparts, plus they also give you a 0.5 star bonus whenever you're transforming them or using them in cooking. Also, there are a few cases that come to mind where you could really take advantage of this. For example, a lot of rare crops are golden, like golden strawberries or golden bok choy. So during a month when yellow crops are trending, you could really make a ton of money using this buff. We also have a similar buff for animals called Petting Rare Item % sign. These are mostly desserts, so there's cookies and pudding at level 1, honey cake at level 2, which is a recipe you learned from Felix before Honey Day, and that is the one I went with. The way I understand this buff is that if you pet your animals while the buff is active, it will increase the probability that their next product will be the rare variety, so Milk Plus, Egg Plus, or Wool Plus. For this test, I collected all of my animal products for 5 days without using the buff, and I also did 5 days when I made sure to eat the honey cake and to pet all of my animals. Admittedly, this one was a bit more complicated to measure for a variety of reasons, and I could have done it better, but without the buff, 3 of my animals ended up dropping plus products in those 5 days. With the buff, there were 7 times when animals dropped plus products. That is more than double. Not bad at all, especially if you have things like cheese or mayonnaise that are trending, but also keep in mind that petting all of these animals is time consuming, and sometimes your time is more valuable being spent somewhere else. If you are going to pet your animals though, might as well make it worth it and take advantage of that pet rare item % sign. One problem with this buff is that it is not a permanent solution. You will have to use it every day. That is when petting happiness up becomes interesting. So farm animals have 2 main stats in this game. Whenever you pet them, brush them, and you see these little hearts, you gain affection. Affection is used to determine the star quality of the products your animals make. Then you have happiness, which are the stars. Animals gain happiness by being outside, grazing, and because there are not as many actions increasing happiness, it tends to be a bit behind the affection level. It is just as important, however, because happiness is what determines the chances of an animal giving you the plus products. So if you want them on a regular basis without having to rely on petting rare item % sign, you gotta work on that happiness. The happiness up dishes are mostly in the desserts category as well. So there's herb cookie level 1, walnut cookie and ice cream at level 2, pancake at level 3. All fairly simple stuff, and as long as you have milk, egg, and flour, you should be able to make something. I tested this buff on Buffy the Buffalo. Here's Buffy's happiness at the start. So 1 star and 3/4 roughly. First, I just slept for 5 days, made sure that she had food, I had my pets to take her outside, and here's her happiness at the end. I will put the before and after on the screen. As you can see, it is a tiny increase. I reloaded my save file, same starting point, same 5 days, but this time I had some pancakes every morning, made sure to pet Buffy for that happiness boost, and when we were done, she was at 2.5 stars. I was really impressed by how quick that progress was, and this is definitely a buff that I will keep using. To summarize, pet rare item % sign is good for short term, but if you want rare products on a regular basis in the long term, I think that petting happiness up will pay off more. If you'd like to go all in, you could even use both. You will have to do them one after the other and pet all of your animals twice, but it will still work, and you can confirm that by those stars that pop up after using the happiness buff. Even though these 2 buffs have petting in their name, they will not do anything good for your pets. For your dogs and cats, you will have to go for pet training up. Most of these, at least from the recipes I've discovered, are in the drinks, a lot of fruit juices for level 1 and jams for level 2. I made some apple juice, and to help us we have Cookie, my Shiba Inu who currently has close to 7 flames out of 10. If you are not familiar with how pets work in this game, you train them using these little pet treats, go through a minigame, and then the more flames that they have, the more animals they will herd in and out of the barn every day. I trained Cookie for 5 days without using the buff, and he went up to 7.5 flames. I then redid the same thing, but with some apple juice, and he made it to 8.25 flames. So just that level 1 juice practically doubled the effect of our training. Animals do get training points on their own whenever they bring the animals in and out. It does go up relatively quickly even without buff or you doing anything, but if you have the ingredients to make juice once in a while, Why not take advantage of that little boost? After all, the more animals your pets can take care of, the more time you have to go out and make friends. Which brings me to the chat friendship boost. Some of these recipes are in the sides category, but for the most part, they're in the drinks alongside the pet training up food. Even though there is so much to choose from here, and a lot of it being pretty simple, I didn't have too many ingredients at that moment, so I bought some strawberry tea from Madeline, as well as some coffee that I turned into café au lait. So don't forget that you don't have to make everything yourself, especially if you don't need that buff to last very long. The drinks I got were all level 2, and with them I decided to befriend Isaac, since his house is not too far from mine, and none of his hearts were locked or anything. I did this experiment over 5 days, and in 4 different runs. For the first one, I would just talk to him. For the second one, I would talk to him after having a drink. For the third one, I would only do a quick greeting, not a conversation. And for the fourth one, I would have a drink, then do the quick greeting, as I was curious to see if the buff would work on the greeting. I will just put our relationship progress on the screen for all of these scenarios, but to put it simply, it will make a considerable difference in the long run if you use these buffs frequently. A chat is better than a quick greeting, but a quick greeting with a buff, at least a level 2 buff as that is the only one I tested, is better than a chat with no buff. Sometimes stopping to talk with everybody one by one can feel tedious, so don't feel bad just getting some tea from Madeline and quickly greeting everybody around town. It will still benefit your relationships. Last and least, we have the Happy Energy gain. Happy Energy is the currency you get from doing pretty much anything in this game, and you can then spend it at the Nature Sprites shop at the Bazaar. Personally, I feel like it accumulates very quickly as it is, but if you want to speed things up, these meals will increase the amount of Happy Energy that you get. These meals are the Happy Forest Mix, Happy Mushroom Fry, Happy Chef Salad, and Happy Fruit Platter, ranging from level 1 to 4, and they become available at the Sprite shop as you rank up the Bazaar. For this test, I kept it simple. I put a flower in this vase, and interacting with it daily gives Happy Energy. Without buff, it gave me 30 points, level 1 36 points, level 2 45, level 3 60, and level 4 90. From 30 to 90, that is a huge increase, but keep in mind that the last recipe will require a heart watermelon, which actually might not be too hard to get if you take advantage of the watering rare crop buff from earlier. Still, I don't really see myself eating this food unless I'm specifically challenging myself to get everything from the sprites by a certain time or something like that. They can also be pretty good money makers. So the Happy Mushroom Fry has a base sales price of 662. It only uses mushroom and salt, so you might be better off just selling them. One big way to get Happy Energy is by leveling up the sprites, so I thought that if the buff would work with that, it would be amazing. But I tried it, and the amount of Happy Energy you get is not affected by the buff. With that, these are all of the food buffs in Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. If I had to pick some favorites, the ones I will start implementing more in my gameplay, I would say Petting Happiness Up and Watering Rare Crop %sign. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything. What is your favorite food buff? What are you having for dinner today? Let me know all of it in the comments. Feel free to check out my other guides for this game, there's plenty more coming. So leave a like and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next video.